Hi there. Welcome today. I'm Roger Pascal, CEO of Real Impact Training Systems. For anybody that may be new to this call, at Real Impact, we improve the quality of people's lives through real estate investing. Through several locations that we have throughout Texas and Oklahoma, Real Impact, we're going to provide you as a real estate investor with networking and educational meetings. Our locations are franchises owned and operated by seasoned investors who we call Real Impact Master Trainers. In short, when you hear IMT, that's a Real Impact Master Trainer, a franchise owner. In addition to our monthly meetings and workshops, our IMTs also offer a variety of mentoring programs that can be that can help you no matter where you are on your personal real estate journey. If you're interested in learning more about our training options, please reach out to one of our Impact Master Trainers. You can find the IMT locations and contact information on our realimpacttraining.com website, realimpacttraining.com. Just click on the locations button in the middle of the screen, and you can connect directly to any of our Impact Master Trainers. So with that, in a few minutes, we're going to have all of our IMTs join us. This week, we're going to be talking about negotiating deals. We're going to be telling you stories. We're going to be answering questions. If you have any questions on negotiating deals, if you're on YouTube, you can join the YouTube page, and then it will bring up a chat box over to the side or on the bottom, depending on what format you're on. And you can ask chat questions in there, and we can work to get your questions answered. If you're on Facebook and you're live, you can ask the questions on Facebook. It will also come to us on our screens that we have here. So we're going to start the meeting out today, or the podcast out today. Eric Short, I think you might have a special story for us today. What do you got for us?
I do. Thanks for asking. It's a story about a gentleman who unfortunately ended up in jail. And his first night in jail, he was a little concerned. And he heard, after the lights went out, he heard people calling out numbers randomly throughout the jail cells. 22, and everybody would laugh. Someone else said 37, and everyone laughed. 49, laughter for minutes. Well, he was confused, and he asked his cellmate, he said, what's going on? What's the numbers? What's the laughter? And his cellmate said, well, most of the folks here have been here long enough that we know all the jokes, and we've assigned numbers to them. Give it a shot. And then the guy said, well, okay. So he calls out 82, nothing. Tries again, 82, not a thing. And he turns to his roommate, cellmate, and says, what's up with that? I called out a number and there's no laughter. And he said, well, some people just can't tell a joke.
There you go. All right.
There you go.
Another, maybe we'll get another warning from Facebook about the bad jokes that we do here. So there you go. So, all right. CJ, let's bring everybody on. Wait. Just Dennis is good now. Dennis, you got the tip of the week. I almost passed that up. So what do you got for us as the tip of the week, Dennis?
Okay, well, the tip of the week this week is called negotiating deals. When you're negotiating with someone to purchase their home, a good idea is to have an exploratory conversation. The exploratory conversation is open-ended questions that are designed to uncover their pain. They're selling that home, or they're thinking about selling that property for some reason. And you got to find out what that reason is so that when you're negotiating, you can show them how you can ease their pain or solve their problem. So be sure to take good notes. Now, in our training, we have an exploratory conversation forum, which really works well. If you'd like to have one, you can just send an email to my address, and I'll be happy to send you a copy. That's DennisJHenson@yahoo.com. While you're negotiating, first of all, you want to let them talk most of the time. And while they're talking, when you do say something, you want to assure them that you'll be able to help them solve their problem, or that you'll be able to solve their problem. When you're dealing with a property that you want to purchase, never state your price first. If you state your price first, there's a good chance that the price that you stated may be higher than the one that they were willing to sell the property for. So always let them state their price first, but stay focused on solving their problems. The first cash offer you make should always be a lot less than the amount you're willing to pay. Now, I never lead with a cash offer. I always lead with an option offer so that I can offer them what they're asking, or maybe even a little bit more. Now, this is really important. Be prepared to answer their objections. There are only so many objections in real estate investing. So if you can learn what they all are and already have practiced answering those objections, most of the time the objection is just a cry to ask you to help them understand better how this can help them. I like to use the higher power technique, where I don't have the final decision. So if we come up with something, I always can say, well, I need to go and talk with my investors about that, and then come back and see, let you know what they say. Be relaxed during during the negotiation process. You don't have to have the deal. There's lots of properties out there. Be willing to walk away. But now, if you do walk away, use the Columbo close, so that you've let them off the hook. You're walking out the door, but just before you get to the door, or maybe right after you open the door, you turn around and say, oh, yes, I've just thought of one more thing, and take them back to the kitchen table. The best outcome in a negotiation is one where both win. You win and the seller wins. But the most powerful technique in negotiating is your staying power. If you walk into the negotiation saying, I intend to stay until I have a signed contract, if you have that mindset, your chances have just gone up 1,000% that you're probably going to leave with a signed contract. So that's the tip of the week, and I hope some of those will help you with your negotiating.
Fabulous, Dennis. Thank you so much. As always, your wisdom is incredible. So that's a great tip this week. Once again, negotiating deals. That's exactly what Dennis was talking about. Before we bring everybody on, I want you to know that on the website, realimpacttraining.com, we have a new calendar we're working on. So you can pull that up and you can quickly look and see what is happening at each of our locations. So be sure to look for that calendar. It's being populated on a daily basis. So if you want to learn more about each of our meetings, each of our locations, we talk about different things. We don't have everybody talking about the same thing every month. We're very diverse in what we're talking about. So maybe you might want to learn more about tax sales, or you might want to learn more about negotiations, or you might want to learn more about setting goals or something on that basis. Just go onto the calendar and look and see what works best for you. And it connects directly to our meetup sites. So with that, CJ, let's bring everybody on. And hello, Karen. Hello, Tony. Hello, Renee and Doug. Hello, Tim. Hello, Tal. And hello, Eric. So very good. Thank you all for being on here tonight. So Karen, let's get it started. We got some questions out there.
We have so many questions. It's crazy. Okay, so we're going to start it off. We have a question for Roger. Roger, can you negotiate a title policy with a title company?
You know, you absolutely can. A lot of investors don't understand that you can do that. But for instance, I'll give you a story of one I did. I had an investor come to me. He wanted out of the business. He brought me 4 houses. So I sat down with the escrow officer, which is also the attorney. It was a small fee attorney title office. I sat down with her and I said, I've got these 4 properties. I would like to save money and just do one title policy to cover all 4 properties, but I'm willing to take the chance and willing to take the opportunity here to only have the title policy at the value of the highest value of the 4 houses. So all 4 houses, for the most part, they were worth about $100,000 for 3 of them. One of them was worth about $175,000. We did a title policy for $175,000. That saved me about $3,000 right there on just doing that. And it just was a question. Can we do this? Can this be done? Now, a lot of it may depend on what type of financing you're getting and how you're putting that to get that together. But that's how I did that with a title company. I've also been able to negotiate various other things in title companies and going through the HUD one and saying, what is this fee for? Why are you charging me here? Why are you charging me there? No, the seller, the other party should be paying for this because that's what it is in the contract. So make sure you review that. Make sure you have a good relationship with your title company, and you work with them, they'll work with you. So that's my story on that, Karen. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, Eric, can you recommend a good book on negotiating? Oh, you're on mute, Eric.
There we go. Are we back? 37.
Yeah, there you go.
Apparently, there's a reason I was on mute. A great book for negotiation is one by Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. He was a negotiator for hostage situations and was asked to come and teach some negotiating classes to Kansas City Police Department. And what they found was he was talking these folks down. He's been asked to help with various business negotiations. He's added to their value greatly by bringing in his talent and skills. A lot of his approach is by playing the question game, by saying, well, okay, I hear what you're asking me for. How can I do that for you? How do you think I'm going to be able to do that? I can try to do it this way, but what you're asking for is just, I don't know how I can do that. You tell me. So he turns it around on the other party and gets them to talk themselves down eventually. I won't give it all away, but Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference, great book on negotiating.
That's absolutely correct. I think we could all agree that's a great book, that we never split the difference. It's evident. It's kind of one of those things where people will say, well, you're wanting this much and I'm wanting this much. Why don't we just meet in the middle at this much? And it seems simple enough, but you're leaving way too much on the table. So never split the difference.
Karen,
all right.
Karen, can I say something about that book too?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because before I read that book, I always do this that thing. I do split the difference, and I thought it's fair, and I thought, that's just the way it should be. But I didn't know that I wasn't really negotiating at all. I just want to point out this one tip that he gave that I really like. So when you make an offer, you need to it's best to offer with an odd number. So I actually did that one time, and this works, and I love it. I haven't done it. I kind of forgot about it, and now I remember. So I walk into the house, go through it, and then me and David do some calculation and all, and then we come up with an odd number. And I remember it was $73,136. So it's like an odd number. So, I mean, the seller really appreciated that we give it a lot of thought, and we do a lot of careful calculation and all. And she took the offer. So I love it. I kind of forgot about that for a little bit, but now Yeah, that's something I need to revisit.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good reminder. Yes. End it with the, don't make it a flat 37,000, 37,544, something like that.
Yep.
And 39
Something
cents.
like
All
Yes.
right. Okay, so our next question is for Tony. Tony, how do you stand out amongst other real estate investors that are looking at the same property and have that seller say yes to you?
Well, that's a great question, especially in today's market, because everything is so competitive. And it doesn't matter where you are in the state of Texas or Oklahoma or in another state. There is a lot of competition out there. And what we've done in the past, we've done this a number of times, is we build up a great rapport. At least we try. Build up a great rapport. It starts with our initial phone call. If we're dealing directly with the seller and we are talking to that seller on the phone, we're trying to establish rapport. And it's difficult sometimes over the phone. But what you have to do is find something that they say in answer to your questions. As Dennis said a little bit ago, is you ask a lot of questions. And so with an initial touch with that seller, whether it's in person or on the phone, you try to find something that, and what we do is something that we can go off target with. So we're not talking about real estate. We're talking about something else. I'll give you a great example. Talked to a fella. He called in response to a piece of direct mail we had sent, and he had a house in Arlington. He calls me up in response to that letter, and he didn't live in the house. It was a rental property, but he wanted to move back to Arkansas. And I asked him why. What was his motivation for unloading the house? And he said he wanted to go back and help take care of his sick mother. Well, at the time, my mother was sick and my mother's up in New York. And so I commiserated with him. We spent an hour on the phone talking about mothers and helping mothers. And come to find out, he was my age, this fella. So the next day we had set up an appointment for me to go there. Well, unbeknownst to me, he had other investors there. But what happened was I was able to get him aside, introduce myself as the guy he was talking to, and I dominated his time again. And those other investors made offers, but because I had made that connection, a personal connection with him, he dealt with me. And we actually bought that. This guy was not in financial difficulty, and we bought that property subject to his existing financial loan. And then I gave him some cash on top of that, and he was a happy camper. We've turned around. We actually sold that house to my daughter. And so we've kind of blessed people all around on that one deal. And we've done that over and over. Cyndee, my wife Cyndee, has written letters to the sellers after we met them in person and made it very, very personal based on things that they talked to us about while we were there looking at their property. And that night she'd write a letter and we'd send a letter to them. And we bought those properties because we set ourselves apart from other people by showing people that we cared. Because the reality is, people don't really care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so if you can show that and be empathetic with people's situation, especially those that are in trouble and have a problem, then you can stand out amongst other investors.
I love that tip about that Cyndee writes a letter thanking them for their time. I mean, you talk about standing out. You're building rapport on the front and then going to the appointment, and then she's following up with another rapport builder. I mean, you guys are a great team. And I just have to say, I love that.
Thanks.
All right. So let's see here. This one's for Doug and Renee. Can you do terms when working with a real estate agent?
Yeah, you can. Really, they don't have to accept it, of course. And you just make the offer, make whatever offer you want to make. But something about what Tony was talking about, sitting here thinking about all you guys and me and my wife. My wife is the extrovert. I'm the introvert. I'm not the guy that goes out and just searches for conversations. You understand? but I have to be in conversations with sellers and, well, with people in general.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my students are my children's age. And so I'm talking to them like a father. And a lot of times I'll ask them, okay, tell me about how you would talk to somebody that you've never met before. And you just get into the conversation. What are you going to say? And they don't have a clue. They don't know what to do. And I turned around, and what I learned early on in business and in general is a crutch, and it's an acrostic, FORM: family, occupation, recreation, and then the message or money. And man, it changed the way that I was received by people. When before it was like, I had nothing to say to you. Now, what I get to do is ask questions. So if I can ask questions and not have to think about what's coming next, because they're going to tell me, they're going to give me the next question. So I ask them about their family. Are you married? Do you have children? You have to get into that. Back in college, we were dating. We would ask a girl, well, what's your major? That was a big question, but that was easy because I didn't have to think. We were all there doing the same thing. Yeah, the other day we pulled this question out and we asked Dennis, and he enjoyed answering this question so much. I thought, well, let's get him to answer this one. When we asked for our student, can you do terms when working with a real estate agent? You remember what you said, Dennis?
Yeah, vaguely.
Vaguely.
I think the question that you first asked me was, can you make offers? Can you make creative offers through real estate investing? And then you followed it up with that. And the answer to the question is, absolutely, you can make creative offers through realtors if you give the realtor what they want.
Right.
Realtors want two things. They want their commission and they want another listing. So if when you approach the realtor, you don't just say, well, will you make this creative offer? They'll say no. I mean, 100%, because they know they're not going to get paid. But if you lead off with, I know that you work really hard in your profession and that you have to be paid. And I'm initially setting aside your 3% or 6%, whatever it is, find out what they're getting on that deal and say, I can pay you this in cash. Now, then you said, well, can you do terms? And I said, well, sure you can. You could even offer them more, because if they will take terms, that means you won't have any money out of your pocket if the creative offer goes through. So when you do make money, you can pay the realtor back, or you can pay them a little bit along, or you can pay them over a 5 or 10 year period and keep more cash. So the answer to your question is, always think of what the other people want and present it to them in terms so that they understand how they're going to get what they want. And that's the answer to the question.
Excellent.
Wonderful. Thank y'all so much. All right. Next question is, how can I get my buyer to close faster? This is my question. I'm going to take this one tonight. So when I was dealing with buyers, I would often get them call and say, hey, will you knock 5,000 off or 10,000 down, or, knock a huge chunk off. And we were talking about never splitting the difference. So this is what I did. I would literally tell them, because I knew where my property was in the closing. Like, I knew if it was ready to close or if it needed another week because of title issues or what have you. So I never negotiated before the title issues were cleared up and it was clear to close. And I would literally tell them, look, I can't do that much. And I would laugh and I would say, but I tell you what I can do. I can probably knock about $300 to $500 off if you can close this week. or if you can close by Wednesday. If it was Monday, if you can close by Wednesday, because I knew that my title company could pull it together in an afternoon. And they would laugh and say, well, if you can get it done by then, sure. So then I would send it to the title company and said, hey, by the way, we're closing on this by Wednesday at 5. And we were off to the races. So I was really good about shortening the sales cycle between my seller and my buyer when wholesaling, and also between ourselves and our buyer when we were selling retail. So everything's negotiable. Always remember that, and never split the difference. Anybody else have a tip on dealing with buyers? Nope. Okay, we're gonna go right along. All right, here's a question from Matthew. Okay, guys, I need hands up on this one. What are the primary bullet points in negotiations? And I'm just going to say right now, everybody negotiates differently because we all want something different. Some people are looking to buy and hold. Some people are, will buy and hold anything that fits their criteria. So how about you, Roger? What are your primary bullet points whenever you're negotiating?
Number one is I need to find their why. I need to find out what is their reason for selling, or what is their reason for buying. What is the reason that we're there together? What brought us to this situation? So I want to know, and there's various ways to do that. Sometimes they won't tell you everything, but you want to get it clear to them that you are a problem solver and you're there to solve their problem. And as I discuss, or as I talk to them, I'm trying to figure out what their why is. There you go. Bottom line.
There you go. I agree with that completely. All right. And he actually has a follow-up question. What determines the basic structure of any deal? Obviously, we're not using conventional loans, right? Well, Matthew, some people do still use conventional loans, but it just depends on, my answer would be that the deal determines my needs, and the seller's needs determines what kind of deal we're going to structure. Can anybody elaborate on that? Can you think of a story that kind of tells about how what you did kind of creatively to make a deal happen that maybe was not conventional? I think we've been talking about that for 2 weeks. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah. Well, first I want to go back and look at that first question he said and echo what Roger was saying. And Roger called it looking for the why. Sometimes you'll hear, and Dennis said this earlier in his tip and talking about the pain points, the problems, because we're not looking for properties. We're looking for problems. And when we find problems, you typically will find distressed sellers, and people have, and the people that we're looking for have one or more of three problems: a personal problem, a financial problem, or a property problem. That's what we're looking for. And we are the problem solvers there. So as Roger said, you got to find their why, their motivation for selling. And you can ask a lot of questions. You keep the questions, as Dennis also said this, keep the questions open-ended. And so don't try to ask them questions that can be easily answered as yes or no. You want to keep them talking. And the more talking that they'll do, the better off you'll be in finding their real why. And then when you do that, you got to find a solution for them. And we learned this, for some of us, we learned a lot a few weeks ago from Pete Fortunato. And one of those things we learned, and I've said this before on the podcast, is that the greatest benefit you get from a real estate transaction is the ally you make. And so by solving someone's problem, you create an ally for you that can then translate into other deals or lead you to other deals down the road. And so that negotiation is finding the why and then finding solutions for that why and presenting multiple offers, multiple options. And that's how you can get to solutions for that seller. So, and then his second question is make sure, let's see, what was the question? Basic structure of any deal. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're not using conventional loans. So not exactly sure what he means by that, but because we can, as you said, Karen, we can be using conventional loans with this on the deal. The different strategies that can be employed, it kind of depends upon what you're going to be doing with the property. If you're going to be wholesaling it versus you want to hold it or you want to fix and flip it. So the actual structure of that deal is going to be dependent upon what you want to do with the property. For instance, if you want to hold it, which is a great thing to do because you want to build income producing assets, you can employ the BRRRR method: buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and then repeat. That's going to be significantly different than just wholesaling. So the basic structure of that deal is going to be totally different than just wholesaling. But the beginning part of it is acquire it. And how you acquire it is through those negotiation points. And so if Matthew wants to clarify what he means by the basic structure of any deal, be glad to try to answer that in more detail.
Yeah, I've got one to add to that. We had a lady that had a vacant house, and she'd actually taken out a loan on the property, just a personal loan. And she didn't live there. She didn't need the house. So we actually took over the personal loan subject to, and we paid her, I think it was like $17,000. I can't remember. We paid her monthly. We paid the monthly payment monthly, but we structured it so we didn't start paying that until after we completed the rehab. So I think it was about 3 months, and we had we had wrapped the mortgage, had a new buyer in there. And then once they started paying us, then we were able to disperse the funds to the seller for their owner finance portion, and to the bank for their owner finance for their subject to portion. And it all worked out great. But everything is negotiable. So you can say, I'll start paying you next month. You can say, this next payment will be the last payment you ever pay on this property because I'm going to be taking it over. It depends on the structure, Matthew. Absolutely. There's so many creative ways that you can buy properties. You can pay cash, and that all depends. So there's not really a basic structure, except for you've got to get what you want, and the sellers have to get what they want. And then somewhere y'all meet in the middle, but not splitting the difference. Okay, I hope that answered your question, Matthew. If it didn't, please feel free to clarify it in the chat, and we will get it taken care of. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Tim, I think this one's going to be for you. John asks, I have a seller that I'm trying to work with. This seller has several properties, but he isn't motivated. He's wanting retail price for the properties. How do I get this seller motivated?
Okay, well, first I'd like to say that our job is not to make anybody motivated. Just like Tony said, our job is to find problems and to solve the problems.
Right.
And in today's market, who wouldn't want all cash for the retail price? I mean, why would that not be their starting point? So I would expect that to be their starting point, and then ask them why they're selling. Just like Roger said, and something that I would add is go 3 layers deep. So that's your first question. Why would you want to sell these properties? You know, if they're all great properties and they're all fixed up and they're perfect and the renters are all perfect and paying, why would you want to sell? And then ask, so what would that mean to you if you got that? And then when they answer that question, what would that mean to you? And then ask a follow-up question and say, say something like, so how would that make you feel when you got blank, whatever it was that they said in the previous answer? And so go 3 layers deep. They may be motivated, and they just don't want to tell you because they read that negotiating book also.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tim. Dennis?
What a juicy question. Boy, I love that. I could talk for 30 minutes, but I'll try to keep it short. First of all, why are you even talking to someone who wants the full price for their property, you know, and if they're not willing to negotiate terms? Now, you could talk with them about paying them the full price or even more if they will allow you to work with them for terms rather than cash. But if somebody's stuck on getting the full price and for cash at closing, your best move is to save your time and your effort and go find someone that has a problem, because they don't have a problem. And in this market, they're probably going to get their money. You're much better off finding someone that has a problem where they don't have enough money to fix the property up to get it ready to sell, or they're anxious to sell immediately because they need to go somewhere else. There's thousands of problems. So just go find one of those problems and let the people that don't have a problem, just let them go, because the three things that are important are your health, your time, and your money. And all three of those are in jeopardy dealing with those kind of people. So that's my answer. Short answer.
Now, one thing I will add is that, John, if you are really wanting these properties, just continue building your relationship with that seller. Because if he's a landlord, maybe he's wanting to buy some more properties, or maybe he could sell them off to you as they become vacant or as they become a problem. Just, take him out to coffee every quarter or something, or once a month or whatever. Invite him to the local real estate investment group meetings, and just keep yourself in his mind if he ever does decide to sell. I remember I talked to a guy, we were trying to buy this house, and finally I saw someone working on it one day, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to buy this house. He said, oh, I'm sorry, we just bought it. And I said, I've been trying to buy this house for years. And he said, it doesn't matter. I talked to the seller. He knew the guy. And 15 years ago when he bought the place, he said, if you ever decide to sell, I want to buy it. And the guy, true to form, remembered him 15 years later. So always keep yourself in front of someone that has something that you really want. But like Dennis said, and like Tim said, you cannot make a motivated seller motivated. So go focus your time and energy on one that you can solve a problem for. Okay. Well, I feel like we're getting almost near the end of this program, and we have a doozy, Roger. This one's for you. All right. Landon asks, I've got a sub-2 situation. We have several sub-2s with Wells Fargo, and somehow we've been paying the mortgage twice on one property and not paying the mortgage on the other property. Oh, goodness, I can see how that could happen. For the past 10, and not paying the other one for the past 10 months. Now, Wells Fargo is foreclosing on that one that hasn't been paid. Any ideas other than paying off a loan to get it reinstated? It's not the end of the world if he has to do a lender on it. And of course, the interest rate is 8% instead of 4%. So how can he save this deal? Any advice?
Well, the only way I know that he could start with is if he could get with the original note holder, the person he took it over as a subject to, and get him in the negotiations and see if they can do some type of loan mod. That's going to be real difficult because the deed has been moved into your name or your entity's name. But to see if the bank would actually work with you. The bank's goal is not to foreclose. Their goal is to have performing notes out there, and see if there's any way possible that you can get a 3-way call with the seller on there, yourself, and then you take over the conversation once the seller says, I want Landon to be involved in this call. But other than that, at 10 months, they've already started foreclosure. Even if you wrote them a check, they most likely wouldn't take the check without some type of agreement to start with. So in that point, if you do have something set up on another lender on there, that might be worth pursuing on that. But I would actually get with the note holder and see if they can get you on a 3-way call. You've got nothing to lose on that. You got 0 to lose because it's already in this situation. And then try to grovel with the seller to say, hey, okay, we've got a problem here. We have this, and then you need to work on your structure to make sure this doesn't happen again with another one of your properties. I've seen some of the things happen with with people that had been out there with servicing companies. That's why I'm not a big fan of having somebody else make that note payment. And then always make sure that I have access to that mortgage account online so I can look at it and monitor it and make sure that there's not any issues there. So I guess it's obvious you weren't getting mortgage statements on this. You need to change that address to your PO box on all of your sub-twos so you get any notices that come out on this and it doesn't go to the homeowner. So you got a challenge here. It's entertaining for me. I'm not involved in it, but it's going to be interesting, not entertaining, interesting to see how and if you're able to solve this with Wells Fargo. But I would definitely get the other party involved and see if they'll work with you on getting you on a phone call. I don't have any other solutions. Anybody else have anything, Dennis?
Dennis?
Is that Landon in Houston?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay. I kind of know his situation. If I were he and in his situation, I would get with, like Roger said, I would get with the person who sold it and get the bank on the phone and say, what's it going to take to cure this? There was obviously a big mistake. We want to send you a check. Refinance it. If it's an 8% loan, Landon could certainly get a loan for, 3 or 4%. And it'll put him in a better financial position and he won't lose the deal. But now, if it was someone other than that didn't have super credit and a lot of money, he could actually probably just pay it out of his checking account. Then I would still get the bank on the phone and say, how can we cure this situation? Because like Roger said, at this point, there's nothing to lose, but I personally think if it were me in the situation, I would have it solved. But I have that kind of attitude. That's the kind of attitude you got to have, or everybody needs to have, is we can work this out. Let's get these people on the phone and make this happen.
Yeah, I had a similar situation. It wasn't 10 months. It was about 3 or 4 months. And the bank president called and said, what's going on with this loan? And this person has died. And why are you making, and he was just full of questions. And I overheard the conversation and I ran in the other room, called the bank and told them I wanted to make all the payments for the rest of the year on another call. It was a community bank though, a smaller bank. And so that never came up again, but he was about to call the loan due. But what it was just like Roger said, we had put it in the hands of a note servicer and the buyer was not paying their part. Therefore, the underlying mortgage was being paid. So what we did after that was we always structured it so that all the notes came out of our account and then we just received the payment from the buyer. That way we knew that we were responsible and it was getting paid. But I've never ran so fast to get on the phone. But that's all a part of just being prepared. And, if you overhear something happening and you can fix it, go take care of it. I literally had it taken care of before that phone call ended. And, most things are on their computers, so it just pops off their screen. They're not going to remember. So, anyway, just my little tidbit. Try not to get behind, for sure. Okay, let's see here. Last question that I have up here, and then we need to get on to our other announcements. Matthew asks, how do you know what is the best way to go? Wholesale, fix and flip, sell it, etc. Or I would say hold it. Anybody have their quick go-tos as to whenever you're deciding what you're going to do with the property? Tony?
Yeah, let me just jump in. I think a lot of it depends on your personal situation. Mm-hmm. So if you're in need of some capital, some money, so that you can continue your investment business, maybe you want to do some more marketing and you need money to do that, and then wholesaling right away will be the quickest way to generate income. The best way to generate wealth, though, is to accumulate income-producing assets. So in the long run, long-term wealth is created from holding assets, and that would be the buy and hold strategy. Fixing and flipping, especially for a new person, I think is the most difficult strategy. There's too many variables that can be way beyond your control. Risk management is what real estate's all about, controlling your risk, and fixing and flipping without the proper partners or the proper experience can really put you in a bind and dissuade you from doing more real estate if you do it wrong. So kind of, for me, it depends. And when we talk to our personal students, we talk about what it is they want to accomplish. Is it short-term cash? Is it long-term wealth? Of course, young people are going to say both. And so right away, then I know we're going to start them off wholesaling a few properties, get some cash in, and then start looking at having a bigger pile of money so that they can then do further investing. And that further investing is all about accumulating assets.
Absolutely. I agree. Tim?
Hey, Karen, something that I would say to that is that a lot of it depends on how you acquire the property and what the market is. Who remembers when there was 11 months of inventory? Fixing and flipping wasn't really a great strategy with 11 months of inventory. It's not always just about what you want, but what will the market bear? And we teach always going in with at least 3 exit strategies as potentials before you ever buy the property. If you only have one, and it's to fix and flip, and all of a sudden the market shifts in the middle of your 6-month renovation, because the job was bigger than it should have been. And then if that was your only exit strategy and the market shifts, then what are you going to do? So we teach, have 3 exit strategies when you buy the property. And then I'll also say, if you buy the property right, then it really doesn't matter how you exit.
Absolutely.
Buying the property right gives you a lot of options. So
that's correct.
That's what I would say to that.
Well, thank you very much, Tim. I know that for me, whenever I was wholesaling, when I first got started, I was wholesaling, like Tony said, to make capital. I couldn't afford to buy and hold a house if I had no money, and I wasn't really well versed at real estate investing. So we kept every single deal that came across our desk that the seller was motivated to do anything creative. So we bought houses with $1,000 down. So we wholesaled and kept the capital, and then put that money into the houses that we could keep. So we buy a house with $3,000 down and put $3,000 in it for repairs, and then put a tenant in it or sell it or whatever. We were doing more buy and hold, but we did have a couple unique situations where we couldn't say no to a sale. So it just literally, the deal determined what we were going to do with it. And like Tony and Tim both said, it depends on what you're financially ready for. If you have enough credit to where you have the ability to buy and hold the property with a loan, or to buy it creatively, and you're able to do the repairs and afford to do the repairs, then by all means, you really should be looking at doing some buy and hold so that you can bring that tax bill down. So I like a little bit of balance, or a lot of balance, and that's just my opinion. Anybody else have anything to chime in on that? Dennis?
What Tony said was just brilliant. That you're not really an investor unless you're holding these and creating income, cash income. It's a lot of fun to purchase a house and flip it and make a big check until tax time comes, when you have to give half of it back to the government. But the real answer to the question is this: if you were Pete Fortunato, you wouldn't have to wonder what to do with the property. You'd already know. The answer is knowledge, specialized knowledge. You need to read everything you can on as many techniques as you can. You need to find a mentor. You need to become saturated with learning about real estate investing. And then one day, you won't have to, these will not even be questions. They'll be ones that you want to answer because you know all the answers. And when a deal comes up, you can take advantage of it, no matter how big or how difficult or whatever. you've got lots of different ways. If you're Pete Fortunato, who knows everything, but he's been doing it for 57 years and he's been studying. So that's when we teach our students to form the habit of reading every day. I'm writing a book right now about famous people who went through really, really difficult circumstances. It's just amazing what they came through. But their answer was almost always they went to the library and studied and studied and studied, and it pulled them out. So the real answer to the question is what you have up here.
I agree with that. Absolutely. All right. Well, I do want to throw out a plug real quick. Dennis mentioned, absorbing yourself, submersing yourself in the knowledge and specialized knowledge. And each and every person on this screen can give you that specialized knowledge. Remember, if you're not in an area where we actually have a Real Impact meetup group in person, reach out to me and we will find one, or we will go create one. And we are always looking to add new locations. So if you're interested in that, feel free to get in touch with me. All of our links are in the description box below the video. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share so that you'll get the notifications when we go live every Sunday night at 7 p.m. And each person has their own group. Tony is over in Waco and Arlington. Doug and Renee are in Longview. Tim is in Wichita Falls and soon to be in Denton, Texas. Eric is in Grand Prairie. Tao and David are in Oklahoma City. And Roger is up in Lindale and Tyler. So we're everywhere. We hope that you can find one of our groups and show up in person and make sure you say hello. You can go to realimpacttraining.com, click on the locations tab, and we also have a calendar that you can view all the upcoming meetings and events. And then the last thing that I have to talk about is our upcoming Mastermind Getaway. Our Mastermind Getaway is coming up September the 21st to the 25th of 2022, and we are going to Dreams Jade Cancun. Can't believe I remembered that. Dreams Jade Cancun, and you can go to mastermindgetaway.com. I believe the cost is $11.95 for 2 adults and up to 2 children ages 12 years and younger. So that's going to be Dreams Jade Cancun, September the 21st through the 25th. Now, keep in mind, as the tickets sell out, we will may be able to go back and get more tickets, but the price will likely go up. So get your tickets fast, because last year we had 62 people with us. So we are super excited about that. There's just no better way to network than in a lap of luxury at an all-inclusive resort with other people doing what you want to be doing. So we advise you definitely want to check it out. That's all I have.
Very good.
Don't forget, it's all inclusive. So
yeah, all inclusive except for your airfare.
And there's a lot of fun stuff to do. It's a blast.
It's a blast.
All right. Good deal. Thanks everybody for tonight. We always try to keep this under an hour. So does anybody have any announcements? I know that we have, go on to realimpacttraining.com, pull up the calendar, look up the calendar of events of what we have. Go to a meeting, network, introduce yourself to people, and this business is great. My wife and I just went to Disney World, went to Orlando. We met with Pete Fortunato in Tampa, met with some real estate people in Louisiana, did a call with Randy Hughes. But this is a great business to be in. Go to our calendar, find a meeting, find an area that you can network in and build that up. So that's a brand new calendar for us. We've got lots of stuff happening there. Click on it. It'll tell you what we got, where it is, what time it is. And our meetings are free. So come to them and enjoy the networking. So
Roger,
other than that,
Roger,
is anybody else?
Tony has something.
Okay.
Yep. So for Impact Arlington and surrounding areas, we finalized a date for a field trip to a rehab in progress. It's going to be Saturday, April 9th. We just finalized it this weekend. We haven't put the promotion out yet. We'll do that first part of the week. The location will be a probably week of the event determination because we want to get the right rehab in progress. But Impact Arlington will be sponsoring this along with Finishing Touches Remodeling, general contracting company led by Blake Johnson, and his right-hand man is Zach Ryan. So 9 a.m. to noon, Saturday, April 9th. We're going to send out some information about it. If you want to attend this, we're going to tell you how to let us know. But if you commit to doing this, we really want you to be there so that we're going to have probably some limited space because it's going to be in a single family home. So we're looking forward to that. April 9th, Saturday, 9 a.m. to 12. Finishing Touches Remodeling is going to talk about how to rehab a house.
Awesome. And Eric, you have your first meeting coming up at the Grand Prairie location, April the 12th.
I do. It's Tuesday, April 12th at the main event in Grand Prairie on 161 and Warrior Trail Drive.
Awesome.
Starting at 6:30 with networking. And Karen, I think you know the first speaker. It's you.
Oh, yeah, it's me. Yes, and I hope to see you all there. Come out and support Eric in his first meeting. I'll be there. Make sure you guys stop and introduce yourselves. We love meeting all you guys that are online, watching us every Sunday night, and we appreciate your participation and your questions. Anybody else? Dennis?
What's the topic? What are you going to be speaking about?
Goal setting, of course.
All right.
All right. And Karen, we also have Denton coming in with Tim and Gabi.
Yes, sir.
Tim, what is the date on that?
It's going to be Monday, April 18th.
All right.
At 6 o'clock at the Keller Williams Denton Training Room.
Awesome.
All right. And our subject is the 7 secrets of real estate investing, correct?
Real estate investing, yes.
The Real Impact Dennis Henson 7 secrets. So that's what we got going.
We have a full calendar. April is going to be exciting.
April is going to be great. April's
Yes,
going to be all right.
and
So,
I would just say Oklahoma City is the 23rd of April.
Okay.
Oklahoma City, that's the Saturday 23rd. All
Yes,
right.
yes.
All right. Good
Oh, and
deal.
then we have Brighton Godwin coming in from Oklahoma City to talk at Doug and Renee's group. That's April what? April 11th. You're on mute. It's April the 11th, correct?
I was on mute. Sorry. Monday, April 11th.
Great.
All right. So look at the calendar. We got lots of stuff going. So we'll make it happen. And other than that, we will see you next Sunday night at 7 o'clock. And we'll have another great episode for you. So thank you all for being on here. Let us know if you have any questions. Reach out to us. Go to our website, look at the calendar, see what's going on, and we'll put it together. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.
All right. Good luck.